Welcome back to another episode of The Art of War. I'm truly honored to introduce my next guest on my show, not his show. Normally I'm on his show, but today he's graced me with his presence to be on my show. And this is really a man that needs no introduction. His voice commands attention and opinions. He is the face of ESPN. He's one of the most influential and polarizing figures in sports media. His fearless takes have made him a must-watch and a lightning rod across the sports landscape. He's the author of the book Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes. I want to welcome to the show my brother, a mentor of mine, the one and only Stephen A. Smith.
What's going on, man?
Man,
See you doing big things. I'm
trying,
I like
man.
it. I like it.
I'm trying. You know, I'm trying to do my thing.
I got you.
Man, I appreciate you coming on the show, as I said. And, you know, I got to start with this, man. I text you, and like I do, you know, most guests, I say, man, how much time do I have, and what do you want me to stay away from? You said, man, I got 2 hours for you, and we could talk about anything I don't hide. Yeah. I looked at that thing. I said, okay. And I guess I wouldn't expect nothing less from you.
Yeah, man, you can't be in the hot seat, man. You can't be in this business for as long as I have, and
yes,
having the platforms that I have, and it's a hot seat for so many people, and then all of a sudden it's my turn to sit in the seat and I'm running. I mean, that's kind of weak. So that's where I come from.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
But before we start, though, man, I got to tell you, man, I really appreciate the small glimpse that you've given the world, especially recently, about, you know, you being a father.
Yeah.
You know, I think I can say we probably similar, man. Like, you know, people know we got kids, but we don't put them on Front Street. We try to protect them. But man, you've shown sort of your relationship with Samantha and your daughter Nyla. Yeah. But more specifically, man, Samantha.
Yeah, man.
She crashed your NBA Finals coverage.
She crashed it.
Then she followed that up with the podcast, and she got your whole face. By the way, she got your whole face.
She's definitely mine.
But
no
man,
DNA test necessary, right?
I'm looking at her and I'm leaning in, Stephen A, because she's funny, she's witty, she knows her stuff, and you said that was just off the cuff.
Yes, totally.
No rehearsal.
No, she's brilliant. She's definitely brilliant. She's gonna have her pick of the litter. She's a straight A student. She's a magnificent talent, no question about that. Very fun-loving, very vibrant. Got a personality, obviously. Ain't scared to express her opinions. You know, it's like, you know, it's the Lord just basically reminding me, you know, getting me back for all the transgressions. Because it's like, you know, Nyla and Samantha are completely different, but also similar with their gifts. They're both quick-witted. They're both quick-tongued. And they're sharp with their sarcasm and all of that other stuff. But they're completely different. Nyla is introspective, don't want no parts of the camera.
She don't want the cameras?
She don't want the camera, want to live her life. She love politics. I mean,
really?
Nyla calls me to complain about Trump.
Really?
Day. And I say something. If I literally say anything, I mean, you know, the tariff wars, maybe it ain't as bad as we thought it was. Yes, it is. Are you paying attention? You know, stuff like that. And she's very political, and very strident in her beliefs with that stuff. And Samantha is about the world of entertainment, but in the same breath, she prides herself on being versatile. One minute you talk to Samantha, I'm gonna be a lawyer. Another minute you talk to her, I'm gonna be an actress. Another minute you talk to her, I'm gonna be a director and a producer. And then she looks at me and says, Daddy, why not all of it? You're doing it. And so, you know, I try to calm her down and rein her in and stuff like that. And then she comes to me with her grades and it's straight A's. You see what I told you? I'm telling you, Dad, I got this. So that day you saw her on camera, we were just passing through. I was taking her home.
Really?
But I had to stop in my studio, and then she says, I want to get in front of the camera. I said, no. And the next thing you know, I go into the control room, and she in front of the camera.
She did that.
And then they put the script up to intro the NBA stuff that I was going to touch on, and she's like, watch me work.
She killed it.
And without even reading what was in there, until it started, what you saw is what you got.
You would never know.
I never knew that my forehead required 7 fingers until her. I thought it was 4. And she said, it's 4, but man, it's like 6 or 7. I never heard that before until that show. But that's what she does. That's what they both do.
Man, I love it, man. You've done a great job, and I don't look like you slowing down no time soon. But when you do, You have successors, my brother.
Yeah.
You have done a great job with them
There's
girls.
no success without a successor.
Man, we got a lot to get to, man. I want to
Sure.
jump into this. You were born in the Bronx,
Yeah.
but you were raised
in
in Hollis, Queens.
Yeah.
You're the youngest of 6.
Yeah.
And your sisters and your brother, they joked that you were the mistake.
Yeah.
But you said your mama wouldn't have none of that.
Nah, my mother was like, you were the only one who was on purpose.
Come on.
You know, West End, my mother was born and raised in
Mama-
St. Thomas Virgin Islands, and she would always tease that I was the only one that was on purpose because they were trying to have a boy for so long after my brother Basil and all of that stuff. And my mother wanted one more boy, my father wanted one more boy, and they were like, the other 3, those were mistakes. You were the ones that was on purpose, but my family's good, and so they always tease me.
Mama had your back.
The mama had my back, but the fact that the rest of my family was so tough on me made it easy for me to accept accept stuff coming my way. Look at the world we living in today. Look at how cats come at you. I can decipher the difference between somebody who's criticizing me and somebody who's trying to character assassinate me. The fact that I'm able to compartmentalize and stuff like that. Dre could be talking about me, and I'll disagree with Stephen here. Stephen A., what you talking about? My man Matt Barnes, he got on me 1,000 times. I rocks with Stephen A., but I don't agree with him on this.
Yeah.
And I take no offense to it because you're talking about what I said or what I did in that particular moment, not who I am. And the fact that I can differentiate, I can tell the difference between the two, I give all the credit in the world to my family because they toughened me up, not only in terms of my ability to absorb criticism, but also my ability to decipher what real criticism is and when somebody is just using it to really get at you on a personal level. I know the difference.
I love that, man, and that's a gift. And you couldn't be in the business that you are at the level you're at without being able to do that. You would crack at some point because you get a lot of heat thrown at you. But you talk about that in your book, and we're gonna get into that at these certain pivotal moments. Dealing with contracts at ESPN.
Yeah.
Your brother Basil before he passed, telling you what you were gonna become. Those are those moments where you maybe are shrinking back or questioning, and they like, bro, what you doing? Yeah. They got at you. So I want to talk more about that. But man, Hollis, Queens, man, talk to me about your earliest memories being in that place.
Well, first of all, it was a very poor neighborhood, but it didn't look that way because it was single-family homes. And so because of that, it wasn't the projects and you thought it was cool. But my house, we knew what poor was because Pops was living his life and wasn't helping my mom's the way that you would hope that a man would. And so because of that, there's holes in the roofs, it's freezing temperatures, no heat in the house in the wintertime, the refrigerator's empty, it's rats and roaches running around, it's us being on welfare for a certain period of time where we're hoping, that we can get off that government cheese and bread and all that. I've been there. I know what all of that is about. And so, growing up like that, it was hard and not having clothes. I'm in the 7th grade walking around with a dashiki on. All of that type of stuff is crazy, and people laughing at me, looking at me like I'm crazy.
In 7th grade, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's all of those things, and to have to go through that experience, it's hard while it's happening, but what made it both easier and harder to deal with, easier from the standpoint you appreciated her dedication, but hard from the standpoint that you had to witness the level of dedication she had to put forth just in order to make sure that we survived, that we ate, that we had clothes on our back and a roof over our head. To watch my mom go through that just shaped and formulated my life and instilled a work ethic in me that never left, because my mission was always to make sure that I positioned myself to be able to provide for my family. That was always what it was about. It's like, whatever sacrifices that I have to make, you just brought up me as a father, one of the sacrifices I have to make, sometimes I gotta be on the road. And I make sure my daughters and I talk every single day, but they understand, and I love that what I'm doing. Like, I love the fact that I'm in television.
You know where I'm at too.
Because I make them click.
Yeah.
Put on the TV. There he is. When somebody asks you, where's your dad? You don't know. No, he's right there. He's at work. He's at the game. He's doing this. He's doing that. It was a very, very big thing to me because it was me sending a message to let them know this is what a man is supposed to do. Your number one responsibility as a man is to provide and to protect when it comes to your family. And if you ain't doing those two things, you're not being a man. And that's just how I was raised because of what I saw my mother endure.
Yeah. But your mother, Janet, that was your sweetheart, man. You talked about her throughout your career, your life, and the book.
Yeah.
This is a woman who had to carry the financial, emotional, all the loads of raising 6 children, though, and we're gonna get into pops in a second, here but not really there. What kind of lady was your mother, Janet?
She's the greatest human being I've ever known. You know, I can talk about it with ease now. When she passed away in 2017, I cried every day for 2 years. I had to go to therapy. I had to do a lot of stuff that I never thought in my life I would do. When you growing up in the hood and all of that stuff, you ain't think about no damn therapy. And the reality is that even though it's not something to dismiss or to feel slighted about or anything like that, that's not the culture. That's not what it teaches you, which is why we learn so much more now as we get older. But I was that way really until my mother died. And, you know, whether it was my pastor, A.R. Bernard from the Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn, New York, whether it was my sisters, whether it was folks that I worked with, they knew that I needed something. And I got to admit to you that there was a short period of time there with ESPN, with Max Kellerman, who used to be on with me on First Take, on Molly Kiram and others, where I did the company a disservice because I was on the air and there were times I didn't even hear nor see the person right in front of me. It wouldn't happen, like it might be a 30 seconds here or a minute there or whatever. But my mother's death distracted me so much, it was so painful to me that I saw or heard nothing. And I was just in a really, really, really bad place because I felt like my world had ended, like nothing mattered. And I had to be reminded, yo, bro, you got 2 daughters. Yo, bro, you got people who love you. Yo, you got this show, you got your family, you got a lot of people, you know, depending on you. You got to rise above this. You got to find a way. But when you lose the one person in this world that has loved you unconditionally since the day you were born, that's one thing. But I always bring this part up to men. And I think that any man that has lost their mother, whether married or single, understands what I'm about to say. If you are not married, you never, ever, ever think about this. But when my mother passed, all I could think about in my mind, and it wasn't until her casket was lowered into the ground. It wasn't when she died. It wasn't the few days that took place before the funeral. It wasn't even at the funeral. It was right when they were lowering the casket into the ground. And once they finished that, that moment hit me that the only woman that I've ever known who would love me endlessly and unconditionally is gone. And so all of a sudden that hits you and you like, where do I go from here now? Because I'm not married. If you marry before your mom passes away, mama passed the baton per se. So you might feel a little differently. But if you single, you know, that barometer, that litmus test,
it hit different.
Gone.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
because it's gone, now it's like, what am I gonna do now? So all of those kind of moments really, really, really hit me. And it was just one of the things that just contributed to a level of misery that I have never felt in my life. And I thought I felt it real big when my brother passed away in a car accident in 1992. But when my mom passed away, I've never felt pain, misery, emptiness like that in my life. And it took a lot away. I think for a year, I don't think people even knew who I was.
Really?
Because it wasn't me. I just wasn't there.
I'm gonna stay on this, just another question. You know, your mother was diagnosed with cancer. How many years before she passed?
7.5.
What did you learn about your mother and what did you learn about yourself as she's battling a disease like that?
Her toughness, obviously, it just elevated to another level. Not just because of what she was enduring, but because she didn't allow that pain to affect how she mothered. The mother that she was, she continued to be. She never wavered. She had something to complain about, she let you know. You know what I'm saying? She had something to check you about, she let you know. You know, and that's the way that she was. What I learned about myself was a strength that I didn't know I had because she gave it to me, and it was in her last days. Before they transition, they're transitioning, and when they transition, those who have lost folks to cancer know what I'm talking about. You get to a stage where you're there, but you're not there. You're just staring, and you're looking at somebody, but you're not talking. You don't know if they're comprehending. You don't know if they understand what you're saying. None of that. And for the last few days, she was going through that. But prior to that, I sat in front of her and I was really, really sad. And I started crying and she was like, why are you crying? Why are you looking so sad? I said, what are you talking about? You know, by this time we knew that she, you know, her days were numbered. And she said to me that this is the way it's supposed to be. She says, if you love me, and I know you do, you don't want it the other way around. Do you know what it would do to me if I lost you? She said, parents are supposed to go before their children. It's my time. I believe in God. I believe I'm going to a better place. She said, I know you're gonna miss me and I appreciate it, but I've prepared you for this. And I expect you to hold up and handle your business moving forward. And so when I remember that, and the day that I remembered it most, the day of her funeral, go to the funeral and we take it to the cemetery and stuff like that. And then we get home and my sisters and them, at the repast and everything, we're sitting in the house. And my sister Linda looks at me and says, when you going back to work? And I was like, what? And then all of my sisters looked at me, you heard us.
Come on.
And I said, what are you talking about? You know, it's a funeral. They said, what would mom say?
What would mom say?
And what mom would have said was, because this was my mother to a T, registered nurse for 25 years, second largest hospital in New York State, Queens General Hospital in Queens, New York, right off the Grand Central Parkway, down the block from St. John's University, and across the street from the high school that I went to, Thomas Edison. What would my mother have said? That same registered nurse, she would have said, finish the job. She had passed away game one of the finals, the morning of game one of the finals in 2017. And they said, you know good and well, mommy would have said, go finish the job, mourn me later. And that's what I did. So when they told me that, I went to work, finished the finals, and then I spent the summer trying to get over it.
Yeah. You ain't have a lot of wiggle room, man.
No.
In your life, like just between your brother, your siblings, and your mother.
Yep.
You didn't have a lot of wiggle room to fail. You didn't have a lot of wiggle room to feel sorry for yourself or to not be something.
Yeah.
Because you constantly had them. They wouldn't even give you 2-3 days. You had a moment, they pushing you.
Yeah.
You get the call from ESPN, something, man, I lost, what you gonna do? Like it's always, what you gonna do next?
Yeah.
What's up, fight fans? It's your boy Ak, and there's some mean matchups coming your way. And we had to team up with our guys at DraftKings to do it. Hey, check it out, Barack. In Chi-Town, Oscar Duarte versus Kenneth Sims Jr., junior welterweights. We know how hard Oscar Duarte hits. My question to you is, can Kenneth Sims take that power?
I don't know, but who says that he has to take the power? He has momentum, hasn't lost in 7 years. He's a slick fighter. He can get in there, move around. He spars with Devin Haney and all these other guys. I think he's turning his career around. But yes, that's the question. Who knows if he can take that power? Everybody that goes in there with Oscar Duarte says he can crack.
Even Ryan Garcia said it, but I would say Kenneth Sims is the better boxer, and I do believe he can evade those power shots and cruise to a victory outboxing him. That's my take.
This is going to be one of those fights that you just can't miss. Matter of fact, all fights are like that. Don't forget to sign up with our code ATS Fights to check out all that DraftKings has to offer. The crown is yours.
Check out all DraftKings has to offer via the app or the website. Join in on the fun right now. What you waiting for? Go download DraftKings.
New customers, use our promo code ATS Fights to level up your fight night experience.
Man, I want to take it back to, the 3rd and 4th grade. I think it was very, very interesting that, a young man that struggled to read is who he is today. You make your living, you have your name because you speak and you comprehend well and was a writer first. Talk to me about that, just that early stage when you had the struggle where you said, my communication skills was really a mask. But when it was time for reading and writing comprehension, I fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
How did the dyslexia thing come about I'm sure many people weren't even talking about that back then.
Man, they weren't talking about it back then. It was my sister and a family friend named Tiver that lived around the corner. The combination of the two, him and my older sister Linda, noticed they had read up about dyslexia and noticed that I was having some of the, those similar, detrimental things. And they went to a doctor, and the doctor validated it.
Really?
And I didn't.
Even back then?
Yeah, even back then. So I didn't know, and that's what they told me. And Linda even though I was going to school every day, Linda would home tutor me 5 days a week after she got off of work, where she would work on my reading and writing skills and my comprehension. Now, it wasn't just that I got left back. People don't realize the significance of it. I'm in the 3rd grade and I got left back. But I went to summer school and got promoted back to my right grade by that September. So it was as if I didn't even get left back. I just had to do summer school. Well, then I go through the 4th grade, complete the whole year, and I got left back again. And this time I was held back the whole year. And so back in the day and stuff like that, you got kids, all the fellas in the neighborhood, y'all all the same age, and they all got their report cards. We all going to the same school, we all getting our report cards, and everybody want to see everybody's report card. And show mine, and they just broke out laughing. I mean, it was one.
Kids are cruel,
bro. I'm 57, man, and I remember that like it was yesterday. It was so embarrassing. I was so ashamed and embarrassed. I felt like the dumbest person on the planet. And I went back to my back porch at my mother's house in Hollis, and I was crying. And she had a window there connecting the back porch to the kitchen, like I wrote in my book. And I heard her telling my father I got left back. And my father looked at her and he said, the boy just ain't smart. You just got to get used to it. He's not smart. He's not going to be anything. Just get used to it. Just get used to it now. And my mother turned around and saw me looking through that window. So I saw him say that. My father saw me when my mother turned around and looked at me, and he just shrugged his shoulders, shook his head like that, and walked away.
Really?
And it was devastating. But I walked in the kitchen, and my mother was like, she was aghast because it horrified her that I heard my own father say that about me. That in the 4th grade, I was a finished product, just ain't no hope for me. And I never forget, I remember saying to my mother, I said, he made a mistake. He doubted me.
You said that back then?
I said that back then, right in front of her face. I said, ain't gonna keep me down, Mom. I got it. And I ain't say anything. And then I told my sister what happened, and Linda was like, let's put in the work. Here's how we gonna do it. And Linda and that childhood friend spent like 2 years, 5 days a week, working on reading comprehension. And even back then, I have a habit that I keep to this day. If I run across a word I don't understand, I will stop reading. I will look up the definition of the word, how it's contextualized, and then go back and read it again. So when I read stuff, even though I can read fast, I'll read intentionally slow to make sure I understand every single word that I'm reading. That's how I improved my vocabulary. And once that happened, stuff started to take off. Because I always could speak, I always could talk. But if you asked me to comprehend what I was reading, it was always a challenge, to the point that even when I graduate with honors and even when I do excellent on a test or whatever, I never, as cocky and as arrogant as anybody who's successful can be, it is something I hold on to this very day. I never, ever, ever assume that I'm smarter than the next person in the room. I just know I work hard. And that's what I hold on to keep myself humble. I'm reminded every day I got left back, in my mind, every day.
What is your message, though, to a young person, but even an adult? Because sometimes you got adults that got stuff that's undiagnosed, and they've been struggling their whole life, but they're allowing what they're struggling with, the learning disability, to define them. You look at a success story like yourself, what would you say to them?
Nobody could want something for you more than you want it for yourself. Okay. What do you want? How bad do you want it? For me, growing up in New York, bro, I loved basketball. I grew up at a time when maybe what I consider to be the greatest show in the history of college basketball, Dwayne Pearl Washington for Syracuse. He was balling in the late 80s. Ross Strickland and them cats. Kenny Anderson and them came after them. Lethal Weapon 3 in Georgia Tech, stuff like that in Queens, New York. Kenny the Jet Smith was at Archbishop Malloy before he went down to North Carolina. Boo Harvey, it's so Gosham God and all those guys came later. But I'm just saying, I grew up around that culture. I grew up when Magic and Bird were going up against each other for the national championship game, and then all of a sudden they both in the pros, and Dr. J was still trying to win his first title before Moses Malone came along. And I grew up around this time. And so in my mind, everybody was about that basketball. When I got left back, it was about, you will not laugh at me. You can joke, you can have a good time, you can ridicule me, we can do all of that, we can go back and forth, but you will not legitimately laugh at me. I'm not going to be a joke. You're going to see what I'm going to bring to the table. And I hope I can play basketball good enough. I hope I'm good enough to get a scholarship. I hope I'm good enough to do X, Y, Z. But what I really, really wanted, not only was to never get left back again, but for you to see me, listen to me, hear me, and know my intellect was not something you could summarily dismiss. That was my goal.
But somebody that don't have that drive and they've just submitted to what they're dealing with, how do you get out of that place? When you like, man, it's a learning disability and it's my crutch, I just can't do it.
Find that soft spot and squeeze. What I mean by that is everybody has something they're passionate about. Everybody has someone they might be passionate about. Everybody has something that they love, that more than achieving it, the fear of not doing it because of the harm it may do to you and others supersedes the love. And that's really where it comes down to. You got to have that. I mean, obviously, I'm sitting in front of one of the great boxers in history. We're undefeated as a super middleweight and a light heavyweight champion of the world. I'm willing to bet that every time you walked into the ring, it wasn't about just being supremely confident. It was about a fear of losing.
Absolutely.
And you in training and you like, I can't go out like this. I can't go down like this.
Absolutely.
And so I think like that. I'm able to handle criticism and stuff like that because I'm usually contemplating a worst case scenario. And my fear of that worst case scenario is what prepares me to endure whatever stress and strain is going to come my way. And after that, it's like, all right, I've already faced that demon. Let's get it on.
So I don't know if it's healthy, but I tell my wife that all the time. Sometimes I start at the worst case scenario and I work my way backwards.
I always do that.
I'm gonna start here, then we're gonna work our way back. Now I know I've covered everything.
Right. Because if you don't consider a worst case scenario, in my opinion, you haven't truly prepared yourself for whatever challenges you've elected to partake of. You haven't prepared yourself because you haven't entertained the thought and the fear of a worst case scenario. You walk in there cocky, you're going to drop, you're going to cut a corner, you're going to take a shortcut. If all you think about is the glory, you got to think about the pain. That's why when Magic Johnson was on First Take a few weeks ago, and he was talking about, I talked to him about what makes a superstar. He said, somebody that could go on the road and sell out the building. And I love that quote. And I said, okay, what makes a superstar player? He said, you got to win. He said, but more importantly, it got to pain you to lose. It got to hurt. It got to hurt your soul. It can't be something like, man, I was there, I tried. I gave my best effort. Did you? Did you? Because if it hurt that much, you wouldn't be able to summarily dismiss it that easily. You can't. And that's the kind of stuff that we look for when we look at greatness on any level. That's my number one thing that I love about covering sports. It doesn't matter what it is. And I'll tell you something because you have a lot to do with this. One of my favorite moments that really illuminated what I'm about as a sports pundit and commentator and journalist and all of this stuff was that time we were at Canelo, Triple G, the rematch. And I'm sitting here with my non-fighting ass self. Yeah. And I am debating with you and the Charlos. Right? And Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence was there. I think Errol Spence was there, but I know you and the Charlos were there, right? And I turned around and I went like this. So I'm talking, and all of y'all started laughing because I was talking. And then I went like, I said, hold up. Champion, 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 champion. All of y'all undefeated. Right. And I'm the one arguing with y'all because all of y'all thought that Canelo had won the second fight. When you articulated it was the body shot, the body shot. He was tearing up Triple G's body. And I was like, oh no, no. And then I caught myself and I was like, undefeated champion, undefeated champion.
Did that math real quick.
And I was like, I might need to shut up here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and the reason why I use that as an example is because I'm covering it, I'm chronicling it, but y'all know.
Yeah, we live.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so because you know what my greatest appreciation is what I receive from great ones. My job to me is to articulate to the masses who don't have the access that I have to the great ones. You know what I'm saying? And that is what I try to I don't try to act like I'm that. What I try to say is, I know what it is because I've been taught by them.
Yeah, but you also got it in you yourself.
I think so.
In your lane and in your field.
In my lane, yes.
You know, you don't do what you have done and what you're doing at the level. You know, obviously, you know, anybody can have a moment, but consistency is not talked about enough. Yeah. And to be at the level you've been at, you know, you got to be different. You know, you hear people say all the time, man, you can't compete well and have a fear of losing. Mm-hmm. What I do know about myself is I had a fear of losing.
Right.
And I don't know if the fear of losing was greater than my love of winning, but I do know they work for me. They both work for me.
Yeah, because you can't find, especially in a pugilistic sport like boxing or the UFC, that's the one point in time where I monitor cockiness. I don't believe that it should be completely stripped from you if that's your personality, because what works for you works for you. But I have to be able to look at you and feel like it's healthy. Because somebody has a license to assault, if not kill you.
Right.
And if you can't exhaust every means and measure to be in the best, put yourself in the best possible position to be successful, I lose respect for you. Because it's like somebody's got a license to kill you. You understand that?
They're trying to hurt you, bro.
They're trying to hurt you. And if they do damage to you inside a boxing ring or inside an octagon, you do understand they're not going to get arrested or anything. I mean, this is legal.
Lifelong effects.
You got to be ready.
Yeah.
And I remember people looked at Floyd, Money Mayweather, and they thought he was so damn cocky and all of this other stuff. But I know him. And so I remember being around him before the Gaddy fight. Before Gaddy got arrested.
That's young Floyd. That's pretty boy.
Before the Gaddy fight. The Eagles were playing in the Super Bowl in Jacksonville against Tom Brady and the Patriots. And I said to Floyd, we had a nightclub, and Floyd in there. And I said, yo, man, that's the modern day Rocky right there. Come on, bro.
Why you in here?
And Floyd grabbed my arm, excuse my language, and he said, ain't no mother with 6 losses gonna beat me.
He said that?
Exact words. Ain't no mother with 6 losses beating me. That's what he said. And I looked at him, and I knew how serious he was. And so I go back before the fight to watch Gaddy's fights. And I'm saying, if there was ever a thing that I never believed about Floyd was when Floyd said he didn't watch other fighters. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I never believed him when he said that. Because I said, he can't be this confident without even watching somebody. He's got to at least see him, you know? And I went to the fight. It was in Atlantic City. And he picked Gaddy apart. I mean, at one sequence, he hit him with like 6 straight rights.
One of his best fights.
He was magnificent.
One of his best nights.
And I just said to myself, okay, that's a healthy cockiness because what he was saying is, I know something you may not.
Yeah.
He wasn't saying, I'm this, I'm that. He's saying, I know something you don't, which says to me, he prepared himself.
But that's where the fear come in at too.
Right.
And I noticed this about myself. That's what got me up early, and that's what kept me late.
That's right.
I can't allow. I thought about fight night.
Right.
I thought about the 7, 8, 9 rows of press row.
Right.
I thought about that, and it wasn't just about the media, but y'all play a role in this too because it's some stuff y'all saying, and I'm not saying people. You know, you can have your opinion. I think he gonna lose with it, but it's the disrespect. It's that kind of stuff where. I'm looking at y'all and I know, man, you got your laptop open. I see the light on your face and it's tonight the night. I thought about that. I thought about Sunday morning when I woke up and came to and realized, man, what happened last night?
Right.
Oh my God, I got beat. And I got to look at my wife and look at my kid. That's the kind of stuff that drove me. That was the fear.
Especially in a sport like boxing.
But that was the fear part, though, that caused me to go to that level where.
Man, you can lose a basketball game. You lose a football game. You get knocked out. That's embarrassing.
You have lifelong consequences.
It's lifelong consequences. You get knocked out. That's embarrassing. You see what I'm saying? So, again, it's levels to this.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, in a pugilistic sport, that's the peak. And one of the things that I applauded about, you were far more delicate than somebody like a Floyd was. But it didn't make Floyd wrong when he was
That's his business, yeah.
When he was like, yo, you ain't got to get in the ring.
Yeah.
He said, we could train. I appreciate y'all help. Or fight night, that's me in there. That's me in there. And I always appreciated that because so many people in the media would say, when he would say something, it's about me. Me first. And they would record that like a negative. And I'm going like this. Well, who's it supposed to be about? He the one that got to get in there. You can't help him fight night. He's all on his own. You can say whatever you want, but when he get clipped,
his name gonna be in the headline.
What you gonna do then? And so I appreciate that, and it's what I'm saying is that kind of mentality and that education is what I can talk to a boxer and apply it to a basketball player, can apply it to a football player. So when I'm thinking about that, if you're an athlete, and let's say, for example, you have a problem with me, my attitude is look in the mirror, because there's no way that I'm not going to listen to your story. If I don't know your story enough, you didn't want to tell it. I've been around. I'm not hard to find. I got the platforms. You want this message disseminated? I'm right here. If you want to ignore that and you wanted to leave it up to me, then don't complain. Because it's not like I'm avoiding giving you that. There's plenty of times I've been on the air and I'm going like this. This is what they said. You know what I'm saying? Because it's your story. So I want to contextualize it properly, even if I disagree with you. I want to be able to say, yo, I hollered at him. I hollered at him, and here's what he said. One of my favorite moments in recent memory was when you came on my show after Tyson fought Jake Paul. So I'm looking at it as a pundit, and I'm like, if Jake Paul do something to this man, I said, nah, this is wrong. This man is 30 years older than them. You know what I'm saying? He's approaching 60 years of age. You can't do this, And I'm thinking about that because, and I felt that way when I saw Mike walking to the ring. Because I saw the brace on and I saw a limp. And
He was walking gingerly.
He was walking gingerly, and I was nervous. And you came on afterwards, and you said, yo, had Jake hurt him, the boxing world, me included, we'd have had a problem.
That'd have been a problem, yeah.
It'd have been a problem. And I was like, see, because what that said to me is that I'm in sync. You know what I mean? It's like, because I would not have come up with that had I not thought about past conversations with you, from everybody to you, to Floyd, to Hearns, to Sugar Ray, to Hagler, and everybody in between. I would have never deduced that kind of thought process unless I got that from y'all. And so to me, you're absolutely right. It's all of that thinking that goes into it and learning from greatness.
Man, I want to get back to the timeline, man. You know, man, Stephen, I struggled, man, reading about your father.
Yeah.
I struggled, man, because, my father wasn't a perfect man, but he was present.
Yeah.
And my mother, she had her struggles, and that's one thing that my dad always said. He said, man, I may struggle and have my stuff, but I'm here. I'm not going nowhere. And I was able to take that and be present for my kids and all of that, man. But seeing that kind of movement, man, and hearing about you at 10 years old, you and your mother looking for him. And finding him at your uncle's house.
Around the corner.
And it's another 1 minute, and you say, man, all heck broke loose. Yeah. And then y'all getting into it, your mother, and then him telling you, y'all gotta go. But hearing you at 10 years old say, I learned that night that my mother and my siblings were not as important as the other family.
Right.
I mean, that's heavy.
Yeah.
How did you deal with it? How did you process it? How did your mother deal with it?
to watch man, it's just to bring back, to harken back to that moment. I want any man, especially any black man, who loves their mama the way we love our mamas, to imagine your mother knowing about somebody else and the combination of pain and fury that that brings. But then I want you to take that same feeling and imagine being an eyewitness to your mother confronting that moment emotionally and physically, because she was there, and your father to her face, right in front of your face, pushing her out the house to shield her from the other woman and sending her home. So the typical woman in a situation like that where your man is with another woman is going to have a level of fury. But then to watch him, instead of being contrite, apologetic, and desperate for you, for your forgiveness, your understanding, or whatever it is in that moment, instead uses that moment to reject you and push you away with the woman in front of you and your son by your side. What man can witness that and be okay with it? You see, we all go through what we go through. And one of the things that I abhor in our society is the way black men are stereotyped and excoriated, because they have this belief that black men are not good fathers, when in fact there's a whole bunch of us that are great fathers. Yeah. No matter what's going on in our relationship with the person, okay, in terms of a relationship, that's entirely different from co-parenting and parenting. And we're big on that in a lot more situations than we're given credit for. And so I'm protective of black men in that regard, because I know how much we love our children. I know how much we love our mamas. But what my father did that day was emblematic of every black man's greatest fear about how the world views a black father. And you 10 at the time, so you can't really say much, but you hold on to those memories. You never forget it. And so as time went on, I remembered all of these things when ultimately my father and I had our confrontations later on in life. But it wasn't the one incident per se involving my brother and, his passing and the insurance money and all of this other stuff. It was the compilation of all the things that he had done. And the difference between my sisters and I is that my sisters were fixated on the infidelity. I was fixated on the suffering he caused my mother because she was doing his job. There's plenty of relationships that are not working out in terms of marriages or co-parenting relationships where a man is holding it down as he's handling his responsibilities. He's just not with the mom, or they're not vibing, or they're going to get divorced or whatever it is. Right. But he's still handling his business as a father and as the leader of the household. He's making sure that she doesn't have to deal with anything beyond the emotional state of affairs involving their relationship as husband or wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, or co-parents or whatever. To me, that's life. What should never be a part of life is that you're a man and you have an obligation to children that you brought in this world and you said, bump it, let her handle it. I don't want that. There's no excuse for that. And any man, I don't give a damn whether it's 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, now, 10 years from now, 20, 30, 40. When you are a man, you have a responsibility to do everything in your power to provide for your family.
That's right.
Even if it means death.
That's right.
Due to trying.
That's right.
You have that obligation. And if you don't fulfill that, I have no respect for you. You know, my daughters, 1 and 2 years away respectively from graduating from high school. I'm not a father. I'm a daddy. They don't say father. They say dad.
Yeah.
But daddy. I'm a daddy.
That's right.
You understand? And the greatest moment is going to be when they graduate from high school. And then after that, when they graduate from college. Because I positioned myself to position them to do that. So boom, I did my job. Now everything else is dressing. But all of these years have been about doing that job. And to me, if you're a father, how could you think differently? I don't comprehend that, and I don't want to comprehend it. I don't want to.
Now, as you just said, there's no excuse for that. But have you, throughout the years, learning your father's history, have you connected any dots where, oh, his father was like that, or his grandfather? What example did he have?
Not his grandfather, not his father. It wasn't anything like that. It was, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I believe it is. I know it is. Men, pride hurts us all if too much of it shows up. My father was perfectly fine, struggling, but having the 6 kids, and he was the man, breadwinner, et cetera, et cetera. But when it wasn't enough, and my mother went and got her nursing degree, and she had a career, all of a sudden, it was a different animal.
Really?
Because they got to supplement you. And when you have to supplement income, and you have to step beyond your own boundaries at that particular moment in time. Remember, my mother and father were born in the 40s and late 30s, right? My mother was born in 1941, father was born in 1938. You know, you had that going on. And so what you have is a situation where if you are of the mindset that this is the way it's supposed to be, and there's a deviation from that, and it compromises the level of dominion, control, or whatever you want to do, you'll notice that when we look at, your father, my father, our grandparents, or whatever, that old school stubborn mentality about how things are supposed to be get in the way of it. So I heard him use that rationale one time.
Really?
And I said to him, fine. How come that didn't apply to you still fulfilling your responsibilities since you old school? Because back in the day, you gotta remember, women weren't working. There was so much that women were allowed to do. Think about that. Think about how restrictive our society was towards women. So men had to hold it down. So if we're gonna be old school to justify how we behaved in that regard, how come we couldn't hold on to old school mentality and tactics to make sure that we enforce the mindset that says, you take care of your family. You don't leave that to somebody else. If you black in this country and you old enough, one of your all-time favorite shows was Good Times. James Evans Sr., poor Chicago projects, J.J. Evans Jr. and all of this, Thelma with her fine ass self at the time and all of this other stuff, Michael the kid and, all of this stuff. They didn't have much. But who brought home the bacon? Or damn near died trying? Who was that? That was him. Why was that the mentality? Because that's the way it was supposed to be. And we try to teach differently in this day and age. Certain old school things I don't want to go away. I don't want it to ever be comfortable You know, you got cats out here, it could be some gigolos, you know what I'm saying? A woman paying their bills and
Straight up.
they living with the women or whatever.
It's a lot going on out here,
Yo,
man, in the streets.
You can't, I don't give a damn how much money she have. We ain't living according to her means. We living according to mine. I'm not living off no woman. I don't care what our society says in this day and age. I'm not being misogynistic or anything like that. I'm respecting and valuing women from the standpoint of showing you, yo, if I'm the man in your life, as a dad, as an uncle, as a father, as a husband, whatever, I'm going to be focused on holding up my end of the bargain to make sure that I'm not a debilitating presence in your life. I'm not a negative. I'm not a liability. I'm an additive.
Yes, right.
You know, that's my responsibility, or die trying. And I don't believe that kind of mentality should ever go away. That's just how I roll. I don't mind work. Anyway, sure, I'm positioning my daughters to work. Get yours. Get your college education. Get your money. Don't quote unquote need, but in the same breath, when you have, understand that it ain't just to take care of yourself. You got to remember your responsibilities to take care of your family too. But you also got to be with a young man that's gonna hold it down, or die trying.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? You can't. I ain't want to think about some no good punk with no ambition.
Trying to date your
lazy,
daughter.
but trying to come to my daughter. And they coming to meet me. We gonna have a problem, bro. We gonna have a problem. Because the first thing I'm gonna look at is how much he want to work.
What are you doing with your life? What you got going on?
What you doing? What you got going on? Where you going to school? What you studying? What's your ambition? Don't come to me, no college student. I don't know. What?
Yeah, that's a problem.
Who? What,
So
my
that's a
child?
non-starter, my brother. It's a non-starter. We can't even.
It's a non-starter.
We can't really go past that, man, with my baby girl.
Let me tell you something. You saw Martin Lawrence and Will Smith and Bad Boys 2. You understand? When that cat came to the door, you understand what I'm saying? What you doing here? You know what I'm saying? All of this stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nah, it wouldn't be funny with me.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. It would be more like 50 Cent and Den of Thieves.
Yeah.
When he took the dude, when he took the girl
garage.
in the back with his boys in the garage. Like, you know,
That's my baby.
That's what
you
it
got
is.
two. I just got one daughter. I got 4 boys, one girl, but you got 2 daughters.
Yeah.
So the truth is, if you don't respond like that, that's abnormal. That's strange.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you this, and I'm gonna move on.
Sure.
Have you found forgiveness for your daddy? Have you forgiven him?
I forgave him the day I gave his eulogy.
Come on.
When he passed away in August of 2018, 14 months after my mother had passed away. I was, we were going to the funeral service, and my sister Carmen, she said, "Oh God, no," because I called at 7 o'clock that morning. Funeral was at 10 o'clock. Called at 7 o'clock that morning. I said, "I just want to let you know I'm giving a eulogy." She's like, "What?" Because everybody knew how I felt about it. Carmen's like, Steve, no. I said, "It's not a request. I'm just letting you know I'm informing you of what I'm going to do. I'm giving a eulogy." She said, "Steve, please, Steve." She said, "Oh, God, no.
Trying to talk you off the ledge.
She said, "Steve, please."
Yeah.
What would Mom want, Steve?
Right,
What would Mom? Because my mother, to her dying breath, loved my daddy and defended him. And so I hung up the phone with her, and I'm driving to the funeral home. I'm living in North Jersey at the time. I'm driving to funerals in Queens, New York, about an hour away. And I pick up the phone, and I call Pastor A.R. Bernard from the Christian Cultural Center. And I said to him, "Here's where I'm at. Here's how I'm feeling." Because I remember, during my mother's service, I was so mad because she had sacrificed so much, and so much of her life, her good times had been stripped of her. And I was just furious, right? And I just said...
Even up to that point?
Even up to that point. And I said, I got some things I want to say. And Pastor Bernard said, "You've earned the right to say it." He said, "But I would caution you that there's nothing wrong with forgiveness." And then gave me some scripture from the book of Matthew. And he talked to me for about a half hour, and he said, "So you can still say what you say, But remember that whatever you say, you're going to have to live with because Pops is gone. But you're still here. And you're going to have to live with it. He says, so know that before you say anything. That way, whatever you say, you'll know you can live with it. I said, cool. And so I went to the funeral, and there was so many people there because my father was like the life of the party. See, you know, in the home, it was different. Outside, my father, I mean, kids loved him, neighbors loved him. My father was very outgoing. He was a sports star. He played basketball, was a great pitcher, got drafted by the New York Yankees in the 50s, but my mother was pregnant with my older sister, Linda. But my father, calypso dancer, we love calypso music from the islands, West Indian, man, you know, all of that stuff going on. So my pops was like the life of the party, so he had a lot of friends. And all of these people rolled up. And they said nothing but the most glowing things about him.
Don't
you know,
they always?
Right? Nothing but the most. I mean, you'd have thought he was Moses or Noah or somebody. I mean, one of the prophets. I mean, it was unbelievable, you know. And so the family sat there because they were waiting to see who was going to go up and sing. All my sisters turned and looked at me because they knew, here I come. And nobody wanted to say anything. They was like. And I got neighbors there that were, you know, my sisters are all older than me, so my neighbors were their age, 3, 4, 5 years older than me, that kind of thing. And they were all there, all the people that grew up in Hollis with us, all of them. And I rolled up there to give the eulogy, and my first words were, it was very, very nice to hear everything everybody had to say about my father. But you need to understand that when it comes to his children, we have an entirely different version of him. I said that. My cousin Derek, who I'm very tight with, my cousin Derek goes like this.
Thought it was over.
You know, close family friend used to date my sister. He was like, oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. You can see him doing that down their head?
I'm looking at every them, you know, and my sister's like, oh God, no. Oh God, no, you know, and 2 of my neighbors, they were the Johnsons, Billy and Tony, they were like, don't do this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody, you know, they know I can speak, and they were like, they were expecting me to just go in. And I was about to. I went like this. I said, my father, you know, knowing my nephew, how much my nephew loved his granddaddy, my nephew Josh, TJ, and all of them, how much they loved my you know, grandpa and stuff. I was like, bottom line is my father wasn't a very good man. There were a lot of things that he was lacking and stuff like that. And then it was like for a minute, and everybody was like, just say, oh my God. And then in the middle of all of that, I said, but here's the thing. I said, my mother, the greatest woman, the greatest human being I've ever known. Know nothing about sports. I said, I'm pretty popular. I'm on ESPN. I'm known worldwide. And my mother's like EPS and whatever it is. I don't know where he works because she doesn't follow sports. She doesn't care.
She don't care.
And I said, but here's the thing. I said, my mother knew what a fastball was. She knew what a no-hitter was. She knew what a home run was. She knew what a stolen base was. She knew what a ball was. She knew what a walk was. I said, my mother knew all of these things. And I said, there's only one reason she knew that. Because of him. Because he was so special to her, the greatest woman and the greatest human being I've ever known. I said, that's why she knew. So if somebody so precious felt this way about this man, there must have been something. And then I went down the list of all the great things my father used to do to make us laugh and to make us have a good time and all of that stuff. And the forgiveness and the nostalgia and all of that stuff kicked in during the speech.
Really?
Not before.
So you didn't get it after talking to Pastor?
I didn't get it after talking to Pastor. I got it. Pastor helped me formulate my thoughts and make a decision. But the real forgiveness kicked in as I was talking about him and I was remembering a family picnic, or I was remembering a party we had gone to, or a family gathering or whatever, and I was remembering the jokes that he would tell that would make us laugh and all of this other stuff. And I ended it by saying, no, he wasn't perfect, but he was my dad.
Wow.
And I love him.
Wow.
God bless him. And
Man.
I moved on.
Man, that's powerful. That's powerful, man, for many, many reasons. Number one, so everybody in the room didn't have a heart attack.
Right.
They sound like they was on the, I can only imagine how they was looking like, no, Stephen, they don't do it. But for yourself, people don't realize that, man, about forgiveness, man. They think that by holding the grudge, by holding the issue, the offense, whatever it is, that I'm holding you hostage. Right. And people also don't realize that sometimes, not sometimes, when forgiveness is needed, it's even toward the dead. Because that person that's in that grave that's no longer living, they still hold something against, they still got something that's holding you if you don't release them and push it away, man. So that man, that's powerful, man. And I just, I know this happened many, many years ago, but just hearing this for the first time, I really appreciate that, man. And I think it has a lot to do with your success as a man, as a father, just you being the person you are. It's hard to hold something like that, man.
Had I not forgiven, I would have been preoccupied.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd have been preoccupied. I would have been distracted. I wouldn't have been able to tap into my best self because I would have been holding it down.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So, man, that's powerful, man. Anybody listening on this broadcast, if you got something to let go, man, let it go. Push that thing, let it go.
Let it go.
But they ain't gonna apologize. They might not, but get it off of you. So you can keep being who you need to be and soaring the way you need to soar. So, man, I appreciate you sharing that. But the other thing about your story, which is similar to mine, is you got real stuff going on in life. You got pressures. You got things you're working through as a kid. But sports was a tremendous asset and outlet for you.
Right.
And basketball, you played all other sports in the streets and different things like that, but basketball became your love and your thing. And it got you a scholarship at, HBCU.
Winston-Salem State.
Yep, Winston-Salem State, which you have you still do a lot for HBCUs to this day. But I need you to clear something up for me.
Yep.
I don't know who made it, but you know the meme out there.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith, you average 1.5 points. You set that record straight on your podcast.
0.
But I'm saying, just talk to the people. Why is that not true?
I cracked my kneecap in half.
First year.
Yes. So what happened is that I never got to play. I would come there and literally, to this very day, like I'm sitting here with you right now, it's 33 years removed from college. I cracked my kneecap in half in 1989. I was at a Division II school. 6-inch screw was in my knee. I'm on the court for 5 minutes. I could ball a little bit. I'm limping right after. I'm not lasting longer than that. Chronic tendonitis, kneecap, never strong, always slim to begin with, and I was never healthy. So I was sitting there going like, where the hell y'all get the 1.5 points from?
It ain't even that.
Y'all
being generous,
I got my scholarship before I cracked my kneecap in half. You understand? And then they kept me on scholarship because I came back after. I had to leave school to come back to Queens, New York to rehab because my mother's medical insurance paid for my rehab because the Division II school didn't have. They didn't have the facilities necessary to be able to rehab you like that. I said, so when they came, I said, I came back and won my scholarship because even on one leg limping, I could bust some people behind. Right. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is, I didn't play. I'm like, what y'all talking about? Yeah. I might have appeared in 2 games for a minute because I'm limping thereafter. I'm limping thereafter. Coach used to joke, I'm from Kentucky. He said, you know what we do to horses they bring that got a limp in Kentucky?
Put them down,
We shoot them. Yeah. That's what he would say. Yeah. He said, I should shoot your ass. That's what he would joke around and say. Because I was always limping. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm like, it's no problem. And this is the thing that kills me. I'm like, so I go in this industry and I march my way up the ladder from an intern at the Winston-Salem Chronicle, the Winston-Salem Journal, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I get my high school job at the New York Daily News. I get a college job at the Philadelphia Inquirer. I climb up 7 different damn promotions. I go from there, I'm on television with CNN SI, then Fox Sports, then ESPN, and I'm in my 50s, and now y'all want to bring up that I ain't do. I'm like, wait, ain't y'all about 30 years late?
Yeah.
But if that makes y'all feel good,
if it do that for
knock
you, do something for you, go ahead. But you know how
out.
it is,
and
man.
I'm like, go ahead and do it. I'm like,
you know how it is being at the top.
I'm doing what I'm doing. You understand what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, do what you got to do. I can take it. And so it's just like with the boxing video where I looked horrible, okay? I got not one, but 2 torn rotator cuffs. I got surgery on both to prove it, okay? But that's fine. Some knucklehead tell me, you ain't got no torn rotator cuff, just swing and loosen it up. And then he's videotaping me without me knowing, which is why I
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how'd that get out?
His son was videotaping me. And
The trainer's son?
Yes, in my house. All right, but I'm like this. I'm like, it's fine. If y'all want to think I fight like that, go ahead. It's okay. But I'm in my 50s and this is what y'all want to do. Who am I looking to fight? It's okay. I'm like this. So, in other words, let's find what he's not number one at to ignore
It's hard.
what I'm
That's
doing.
what happened when you on top.
That's
so
right.
People get tired of seeing you winning.
Exactly. And so, mind you, we live in a different age. You understand you could go to Google or whatever and get all of that stuff. Not like when they Google you, you can get that stuff, enable it where they can't find it. Why are you able to find it with me? You know why? Because I tell them leave it all up. Ain't nobody hiding. You understand what I'm saying? That happened. You understand? You also saw, if you go back and you look heavy, go back, don't go back a decade, go back 3-4 years ago. I'm skinny, fat, no muscle, no definition. I got a pot belly. I'm 208 pounds with 30% body fat. Is that how I look now? You see what I'm saying? So I'm 57 and even I haven't worked out in the last 5 weeks. I got inflamed elbows, but I'll be back in the gym soon. But I'm like this. I'm in the best shape I've been in 30 years. What y'all doing? Oh, you saw the contract. You understand what I'm saying? I ain't gonna confirm whether it's true or not, but you saw the contract. Did you see the other contract with Sirius? Did you see that coming? You understand? Do you know what's coming down the pike? So this is what I'm doing. I'm going this way.
What you doing?
What y'all doing?
Y'all got time to do that?
And I'm going like this. Rather than have time to do that, why don't you ask a brother for some advice? I might give it to you. I'm happy to help because I want everybody to succeed. See, this is how I think. So you got people. I got my boxing coach. Could you please let us do a video, please? No, not yet.
Let us clean that up. Yeah.
No, let them leave that up there right now. Basketball. I was good enough to get a scholarship that paid for my education.
That's right.
Did you ever think about that? I didn't get a scholarship to go pro. You understand? On my best day with no knee injury. I wasn't no damn Allen Iverson, Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, or anybody else. They still would have smoked me. But I was good enough to get a free education. What you doing?
But when you contextualize it like that, you take all the power away. Now what? I'm laughing with you. Now what?
That's what it is.
You got to go cook something up back in the basement in somebody's room, wherever you did that. Right. You got to go do something else because people just get tired of seeing you winning.
And here's the thing. Then you got these clowns, and some of them are in my industry. I didn't write my own book. Oh, really? So I had somebody else tell my life story. I had somebody else give those details. Did you know that Simon & Schuster has editors? Do you know that they have fact checkers? Do you know that when you talk about, oh, he didn't get any doctorate from Winston-Salem? I didn't. From my alma mater. That calls me for contribution. I didn't get a doctorate. I just made it. So when I got the doctorates and I gave the keynote address at graduation, that was made up too. They just gave me word that I got inducted into the Black College Hall of Fame this coming September. Do you want to come to Atlanta and see that I made that up too? I mean, it's like
they start reaching, man.
It's like really.
They start reaching.
It's like
they start reaching.
It's like, is your life that bad? I guess so. So it's an effort to humiliate, to break, to do all of this other stuff. How does it feel to know you're not doing any of that with me? I continue to ascend, and I'm going to keep on ascending until God tells me otherwise.
Well, as life works and as life happens, as we know, oftentimes, it ain't guaranteed, but oftentimes one door is shut, another door open.
Right.
So, you having that situation with the knee, with the encouragement of the university, Coach Clarence Big House Gaines, you get your degree in mass communication.
Yep.
and they encourage you, hey man, take it this route. You graduate in 91, and this kicks off the journalism career at the Winston-Salem, like you said, Journal, Greensboro News, Record, and in North Carolina to the New York Daily News and the Philadelphia Inquiry. But while you're in Carolina as an editorial assistant, I think you said you're making what, 15,300?
15,300. It's either 15,300 or 15,100.
I think it was 300.
I think it was
That's
300.
what's in it, yeah. You know, your brother, Basil, I love this because, you know, your father, your biological father wasn't there, but you and Basil got closer as y'all got older, and now he's playing that role. Right. And that's just a powerful thing, man, how sometimes, you know, we don't have what we think we need, but it's a ram in the bush. But I love it because, you know, you kind of lamenting to him about, you know, I'm complaining about being at High Point, but your brother, man, he starts to not only speak life into you, he starts to speak prophetically. You where you at that stage, and your brother starts saying stuff like, man, you gonna be on ESPN.
That's exactly what he said.
He said you're gonna be on TV. The newspaper is not your last stop. You're gonna be one of the biggest stars in sports media, and you're gonna be a household name. How did your brother Basil have that kind of vision and have prophetic vision where he spoke some years away from when it was actually gonna happen?
My brother was one of those guys that he prided himself on just getting it. Like he can walk into a room and light up a room. And his whole point was, have you listened to you speak? Do you understand the conviction with which you speak? He said, if you're wrong, somebody's gonna have to prove it because you mean what you say.
I like that.
And that's how you bring it. And he always told me that. He said, it's impossible for somebody to listen to you speak and not stop and listen. They can't dismiss you while listening to you.
They might not agree,
Right.
but they can't dismiss
They can't dismiss it. They got to react to it. You provoke a response. That's what you do. And he said, that's what television is. That's what made Howard Cosell the superstar that he was, who was my idol. I idolized Howard Cosell growing up for two reasons. Number one was his relationship with Muhammad Ali, and number two, how distinctive his voice was. When he spoke, you knew it was him. And my favorite example to highlight what I'm saying about Howard Cosell, it wasn't him on a Wild World of Sports. It wasn't him screaming, down goes Frazier, when Frazier got knocked out by George Foreman after getting knocked down about 7 times and stuff like that. It wasn't down goes Frazier. It wasn't it is over, Ali is done and beating George Foreman. It wasn't any of that. It was him doing halftime highlights on Monday Night Football. But you never saw his face during halftime. Halftime highlights brought to you by Merrill Lynch. Breed apart. And true to form, what would I do? I'd pull it out and look up what's Merrill Lynch. Brokerage firm, stuff like that. I was like, that's what Merrill Lynch is. I never would have thought about that at that stage and point in my life had Howard Cosell not mentioned the sponsor for halftime highlights. And so he, to me, made Merrill Lynch omnipotent. You know, you knew who they were because of him and his voice. And my brother was the first one saying, that's you. Now, later on, it would be Sonny Hill in Philadelphia, world known, everybody knows Sonny Hill, the basketball, you know, the mind that he is and how he's Mr. Philadelphia. But before him, my brother was the one who told me that. And so 2 months before my brother died was when he said that.
He said that was the last conversation?
That was the last conversation we had. It was in August. I'm talking face-to-face.
Yeah, face-to-face.
It was in August of 92. And he was like, yo, this is what you gonna do.
Did you believe it?
Watch. No, I didn't. I knew that I had a chance to be successful, but I didn't see all of that. And so everybody uses a motivation. And when my brother passed away, I remember everything that he said. And you know, families have this habit of going to the grave site, laying down some flowers, talking to their deceased loved one, et cetera, et cetera. For me, I made the decision I would not go back until I achieved what he said I was gonna achieve. And it took me 11 years. But in October of 2003, ESPN came and hired me. And when they hired me, one of the first things I did was go to the gravesite. And I was like, bro, I did it.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I want to start there and keep going from that point because, you know, you made that was more of a vow to yourself.
Yeah.
That vow. And
It motivated me.
And it was a long road. 11 years is a long time. Mm-hmm. And a lot of ups and downs and, you know, different things that you had to go through. And you made it to ESPN. And when you first got there, though, you know, the higher ups, the executives, you know, they getting feedback from everybody. But it's Stephen A. Smith. What y'all think? And you said didn't nobody want you there.
No, it wasn't when I got there.
Before you got there?
It was before I got there.
Okay.
Mark Shapiro, who's now the president of WME and you know and runs them with Ari Emanuel and some others. Kevin Frazier, my boy, works for Entertainment Tonight now, but at the time he was working for
I remember that.
ESPN. It was him and a person by the name of Kerry Chandler, who was running HR for ESPN. They had, Kevin I knew, her I had met a few weeks earlier, and they both went to Mark Shapiro because Kevin Frazier wanted off of NBA. It was called NBA Shoot-Around at the time. He didn't like the show, whatever. And Mark Shapiro's like, what can I do to keep you on? What do you need? Kevin said, Stephen A. His name is Stephen A. Smith. Go get him. And Mark Shapiro's like, who's this guy? You know?
When you at Fox?
Yes.
You was at Fox
I was
at
at
the
Fox
time?
Sports. I was contributing to the Best Damn Sports Show. I wasn't permanent. I didn't want that. But I
remember
was,
that show. I was on there a couple
Best
times
Damn
early
Sports
on.
Show. Yeah. And I was doing Last Word with Jim Rome sometimes and all that stuff like that, and then National Sports Desk as well. And then I got the call from ESPN to come up for an audition. And later on, Mark Shapiro told me he went into a room, he had like 25 direct reports, and he said one guy who ultimately became the executive VP there, his name is Norby Williamson, he's no longer there. He said one guy was like, I guess we can try it, let's see. He said the other 24 people all said, hell no, we don't want him. He doesn't fit here. He's not our cup of tea. We don't want that. And so he said that, call him in for an audition. This is him later on telling me what happened. He said to me he had never experienced such universal vitriol against one person. Like he said, I couldn't believe, he said, I said, there has to be something. None of them knew you. None of them had met you. None of them have talked to you. They just went by your on-air persona and said, we don't want him here. He said 24 different people did it. Yeah. And he said, I said there has to be something to this because I've never seen that in my career.
There's got to be something
So he called me in for an audition. So I rolled up there and I was ready. But when I knew I had to be, they put me through like 18 different interviews that day. It was only for like 15, 20 minutes per interview, but I had 18 of them. And the very, very last interview was with this individual by the name of Mike McQuaid.
Hold on right there. Stay right there for a second. Mike was over me when I was at ESPN Boxing, so tell me that story. Yeah, so Mike call him McQuaid. Darth Vader. That's his name.
He is Darth Vader. He is Darth Vader.
What's the name? Tell me about it.
Well,
tell me about it.
Because his personality, I mean, he is stoic.
But he's really a great guy. You get to know him. Yeah, and if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you had no problems with Mike.
No problems with Mike whatsoever. Do your job.
Just do your
job. You don't do your job.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
You'll see that other side.
You're gonna see that other side.
And he'll do it with a straight face.
With a straight face, won't mince words, won't pull any punches, and will check you in a heartbeat. But Mike interviewed me. And he said, you know, you're at Fox, and that's nice. He said, but some would say that's you being the big fish in a relatively little pond because ESPN obviously feels that they're the big pond, they're the worldwide leader. And I looked around, made sure nobody was around, and I said, I mean no disrespect,
right,
but I'm not going to be a little fish in anybody's pond.
Right.
Put me in front of the camera, and you'll see what I can do. I said, that's fine. He said, okay, let's go. And then I walked in for the audition, and I knew that I was gonna knock it out the park because when I walked into the audition, Kevin Frazier was behind the desk, ready to interview me to do the audition. And so when I did the audition, I finished the audition at about 2:45, At about 3:30, I'm driving home to New York, and 3:45, my agent called me and said, congratulations.
You got the deal.
You just got a 3-year deal with ESPN.
Come on.
And Mark Shapiro would later tell me it was the greatest audition he had ever seen in the history of his time at ESPN.
Man.
He said, I ain't never seen nobody light up a camera like that.
Did you talk to McQuaid after?
No,
You didn't see him?
no. But when I got there, he was my direct boss. And he wanted to be. Because he was like, this boy is special.
Yeah. Man, I had, you know, our boxing show, we did 20-something shows a year, whatever the case may be. And, you know, appreciate all the producers and all the stuff throughout the years. But when Mike McQuaid showed up, we kept hearing about Mike McQuaid. He came.
Different lens.
And I'm like, everybody thought they was going to get fired.
Yeah.
Because he just pulled up, he wasn't talking, he's straight shooter, but we didn't know him. Just only heard about him. But Joe Tessitore, my guy, he said things are gonna change for the better. Man, everything went up. Like everything went up. Everybody's level went up, the standard went up, the product went up.
When you walk into a room with Mike McQuaid, you had better do your job. There's nothing to negotiate about that.
That's right.
Everything else is open to, like
right.
you know, I can talk to him. You know, people who work and put in that work, because he ain't somebody that elevated.
He leads by example.
He's the executive VP now. He was there for 37 years before this happened. This man put it in, and tireless worker. So he don't want no excuses now. You understand what I'm saying? When you say, if you can't do something, tell them. If you got a scheduling conflict, but your commitments, you honor. And you know, it's like you got to put in that work, and that's him. That's him. And you know, when he knows the business backwards and forwards, so you're not pulling no wool over his eye. It ain't a thing he hasn't seen. So to try him would be a mistake.
But if you work and you a grinder and you that person that you striving to be the greatest, he's perfect for you.
He's totally good with you.
He's perfect. But I'm saying he's perfect for you.
That's right.
He'll stimulate you to be better.
Exactly.
That's your question, man. Where you get your style from, man? Where you get like they got a saying like it's in me, not on me. You know, people could try to dress you up, you have a style, but you got your physical style, but then also the walk, man. They be talking about you walking in a basketball game.
I don't know.
Hold on, I'm just gonna answer this. They say, man, he walking the place like he owned the place, like he one of the players. Where that come from?
Cats, jealousy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm gonna tell you that, and I am qualified.
But do you walk in like that?
Yes, I do. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna say, and I say this all fun and love and all the stuff. Let me tell you something. I'm joking around, but I'm also serious. You see me on First Take on television. You see me on these other shows up there. Hold on. What's up? What's up with that tie? What's up with that shirt? What's up with that suit? I mean, yo, what's up? You rolling? What we doing? Because it's like I'm letting cats know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a standard.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether this is true or not. I'm entitled to my opinion. I believe I'm the best dressed cat in sports. I really, really do. I'm talking about consistency. I'm not talking about an outfit here. Like, there's sometimes I'm looking at Ryan Clark, I'm like, he got me today. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody, I'm looking at somebody else. I got it. But I'm talking about, in terms of consistency, the long haul, the marathon, I don't believe there's anybody in sports that could touch me. So what happens is it makes me laugh because I'm listening to players and former players on their podcast and they talking smack. He walking in and I'm going like this. Don't distract from what's really going on. I'm not walking into the place like I'm one of the players. I'm walking into the place like I'm the best dressed cat in here.
Come on.
That's what I'm doing. You
I love that.
That's don't get it twisted.
Don't get it twisted, yeah.
This is not about play. When you walk, that ain't the basketball court. I didn't ask ESPN to put the camera on me. I didn't ask ABC to put the camera on me. But did I think I was worthy based on my outfit? Yes, I did. You see, so I'm sitting there like this. Do you see this suit on me? Do you see how I'm dressed?
You see how it's falling?
Do you see how it's falling? Do you see how it's collapsing on this brother? Yeah, do you see the shoes? Do you see the man bag that I might rock occasionally? You don't know. Do you see the shades that I'm rocking? I'm like, I'm not walking in there like a player. I'm walking in like players look at me and take notes. Because some of y'all need help. You see what I'm saying? Some of y'all need help. You know, it's like you can walk with swag and all of that stuff because of the game. But that's not the game walking on, that's a runway. And I'm not gonna walk into an arena like I'm pulling up in the loading dock area and you got the camera on me and I'm dressed like it's just another day. No, y'all. Oh, this is what it's about.
But you know, they think because they got the stylist
They
that
don't.
they dressing.
They don't. And they clearly
That
need
ain't-
help.
that ain't
They clearly
true.
need help. They clearly
Some got it, but some, come on, brother.
No. I will tell you this. Don't get me wrong. I had a cat that taught me, that pulled me there. You understand? So my man at Neiman, my man Charlie at Neiman Marcus in Garden State, you know, he was the guy that first pulled me, clothes a little baggy, whatever, allow me to dress you. And then as he dressed me and showed me the way, I'm sitting there like, oh, really? And then, you know, you see the lady, you see everybody else looking at they looking at me different. And I'm going like this.
Yeah.
Well, then this must be working. And then I got rid of the belly too. I'm like this, oh, Lord, now it's falling on me. I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't know. I said,
Hitting different now.
I'm actually feeling like I'm looking
That's
good
right.
now. I was like,
Yeah.
you know, this was like, because it's several people that helped me. First of all, we had Billy King, Pat Croce, and Larry Brown when I was with the Sixers, when I was young, covering the Sixers. And Larry Brown was the first one that I saw rocking suede shoes with a suit. Pat Croce used to rock these Italian shoes. And blue, Aaron McKee, because Aaron McKee always rocked these blue suits. He's a dark-skinned brother with the blue suits looking smooth as hell. You know, I'm like this, damn, they are looking good, you know. And so I started tweaking, going from jeans and a shirt with a tie to trying to rock some decent shoes and a suit, whatever, right? Then as my finances improved, all right, I could afford a few suits.
Yeah.
So I started rocking that. And then I would go and it was, oh my God, Dwayne Wade, I gotta give him credit for this. Boy, did he get me. Man, he used to, because he always thought he was so stylish. I was like looking at like Pink Panther or some shit he was wearing. I'm like, please, right? But sometimes he was sharp, and I was like, and he does have gab. So I'm like, he's doing better than most. Okay, cool, that's all right. So one time in the off season, this brother was like hosting this like fashion show, and he had some fashion folks from Europe and all of this other stuff. And I walked in late. And when I walked in late, I had on one of my suits, which obviously baggy, looking like MC Hammer pants, all this stuff. And he called me out in front of everybody.
He did?
He said, you can fit 3 legs up in there. And I was like, damn, he got me good, right? I was like, ooh, that was low. That was low, right? And then that same summer, ESPN magazine wanted to do a shoot with an athlete and a pundit. And D. Wade chose me, where he got to dress me. I had to wear whatever he said, and I didn't like that.
You didn't like
I
that
didn't like it at all. I thought he was making fun of me, right?
What he had you in?
He had me in some like them red pants and some tight red ass pants.
Oh, the tight, it was tight?
I was mad as hell.
It was tight?
I'm like, come on, D. I said, come on, you can do better
Oh,
than this.
man, why he do you like
when
that?
When he did that, I said, okay.
Yeah.
I said, these cats don't understand. I just couldn't afford it. So then as the salary increased, and then all of a sudden, it's Tom Ford, it's Brioni, it's Xenia, it's all of these cats. And I'm like, y'all done started something. And so I met the guy, Charlie. And then after I met Charlie, and Charlie dressed me with a few outfits and stuff like that. And then I figured out a lot of stuff on my own. Suddenly, I started telling Charlie, now I want this, I want that. I want this, I want that. I want the double-breasted hair. I want the single-breasted hair. I want to rock the vest here. And now it's like, it's next level. And I'm like this, y'all can act like you don't know. But you know, when I roll up into a spot, how I'm dressed, we understand.
Man, I'm gonna tell you that I had a stylist tell me one time, I said, man, would you just look good, that look good? He said, do it look good to you? I said, yeah, I like it. He said, you can wear it, but you gotta own it.
That's right.
Whatever you wear.
Because if you ain't confident, everybody know.
Don't put it on.
Everybody know. And see, here's my point with all of these cats that's talking smack. When you walk into an arena, the basketball court, all of y'all wearing the same damn thing. You got the same uniform, don't you? There's 12, 15 cats on the roster. You got the same uniform. You're a football player. There's 53 cats. You wearing the same uniform. The individual is who rolls into the arena or the stadium. That walk right there, that's you. Do you want it or not? Do you want it or not? And you see a lot of these cats, they talking, but they don't want it.
Yeah.
They don't really want it.
don't really want
You
it like
understand
they say
what I'm saying?
they do.
You want us to focus on your game.
Yeah.
You should want us to focus on your wardrobe
That's
if
right.
you're going to do that walk. If not, come through the back door. Find a different way to get in the arena. But if I'm going to walk in there, I show up at the NBA playoffs, I show up at the NBA finals or whatever. Oh, if I'm doing a show and I'm near to work, I'm going to be dressed to the nines. Ain't no doubt.
But you're not changing. You're going to keep walking in them
Damn
arenas
right.
the way you've been walking.
The way I've been walking. That's how I walk. I ain't faking it. That's how I walk. That's how I walk. You understand? And I'm walking in there like they thinking I'm trying to be one of the players. No, I'm trying to show you I dress better than the players.
All right. So, I want to get back to your first stint at ESPN. That was what, from 03 to 09?
03 to 09.
And then, man, you get this 2-year hiatus.
Yep.
I don't want to spend too much time on how it ended, but it was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. You got the dream job, and it's many factors that went into that. But when is it a firing or they just didn't renew?
They didn't renew, but I was fired.
Okay.
I mean, because when they don't renew you, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. But you got this 2-year hiatus where you trying to figure it out. Your sister not giving you a break again. Was it Linda?
Yeah.
When you, man, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm trying to figure it out. But you get that second run. And this time, I think you were slated to just be on radio.
Yeah, I was confined to radio for the first year.
Right, and then you had a conversation with Skip Bayless in the parking lot, and that was the origin and the beginning and the genesis of ESPN, The First Take.
That's right.
And y'all went for a long time, and you started noticing Skip was, moving a little bit different. Everything was still good, but just we didn't have what we had before. And then eventually he departed.
Well, it wasn't that nothing with the show.
No, personally.
On a personal level, he was being a bit different because he knew he was leaving. I didn't know. And because I didn't know, and I couldn't hold against him once I realized why he kept it from me, because Jamie Horowitz, our former boss at ESPN, who ultimately was in control at FS1 at the time, came to him with a mega deal. And, he was still under contract with ESPN, so, it was nothing in writing or anything like that, but he knew what the kind of offer that he was putting on the table compared to what ESPN was putting out there for him. He knew that was it. And so I understood it. My problem was that at the time I didn't know. So it was like, damn, what's going on, and ultimately he told me.
So he left, went to Fox,
Yep.
and now you're at the helm. This is your show.
That's right.
In steps Max Kellerman.
Yes.
I think y'all had a 3-year run, right?
I went 5 years.
5 years, okay.
I went. Max was doing Sports Nation and what have you, and obviously, I needed a partner. They were looking for somebody to replace Skip for 5 days a week, and I knew that his personality was different than that of Skip Bayless, but obviously he's a brilliant brother and knows his sports, and also he had really good relationships internally. And so having those relationships internally, knowing that I had aspirations to move First Take to ESPN, because at the time it was on ESPN2, and I had aspirations to move the show to ESPN.
For those that don't know, bigger audience, E1 is
Exactly,
just different.
all of that stuff. Well, people, by habit, that's what they're going to do. And so because of that, I knew that was something that he would help move along. And sure enough, that, after he came on board, that was one of the commitments that they were willing to make. So I was happy about that.
It was working until it wasn't. Yeah. And you said pretty early on, you started noticing just that, okay, I got my approach. I'm straight to the point. I'm unapologetic about it. Max has a slightly different approach, but you felt like it wasn't going to work long before it ended.
I felt like about 2 years in, I didn't think it was going to work long term. I didn't have regrets about bringing him on board. It's just that that as time was evolving and you saw the other shows and you saw the talent, people clamoring for a point of view mattered. He knows what he's talking about. And when he opens his mouth, you got to listen because, the brother is brilliant. But in the same breath, they're looking for conflict and confrontation.
It's a debate show.
That's right. It's a debate show. And it got to a point where that's not what folks were getting. And so you see people opening their mouths and talking about, it was Stephen A. wanted this or whatever. Let me look into the camera and tell people something that you may not know about me, but you better learn. I pay attention to research. It's not about what I want. It's about what the audience wants. We got focus groups and all of that stuff that they do in television that tells you what the audience wants, what it's clamoring for, what it thinks it needs to get rid of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what it was saying was, we together didn't work. Now maybe it was a byproduct of what we had trained the audience to be accustomed to with me and Skip. And the fact that that wasn't there, okay, is something they lamented. My point is, that's what they lamented.
It's not personal.
It's not personal.
Never been
It's not personal. They didn't say me, him, or whatever. They said us. So what I was saying was, okay, they said that in year 2, and 3, and 4, and now here we are in year 5. What y'all gonna do about it? Why would I want to stay on that if that's what the audience is telling us and we're not doing anything about it? So I was willing to come off First Take and do other things. And obviously they didn't want that, and so they made the decision that they made. And when they made that decision, I knew that my career was on the line. Because if you kept me on board, I had to make it work or else. And I was like Stephen A. against the world. They were like, what? I said, I'll take on all comers. I don't care who it is. I said, because one way or another, it's going to be interesting. Because I'm bringing a potpourri of talents. It's not just one person I'm depending on. I said, so, before it was Michael Irvin, and then it was Shannon Sharp. Ryan Clark was there. Marcus Spears was there. Jeff Saturday was there. Dan Orlovsky ultimately came on board. Cam Newton ultimately came on board. Mina Kimes came on board. Kimberly Martin came on board. Monica McNutt and Andrea Carter and Shanae Oguma came. Brian Winters and Kendrick Perkins and Jay Williams and everybody came on board. So no matter what day you pick, it could be Chris Canty. It could be Bart Scott. It could be Harry Douglas. It's like the list goes on and on. It's like, Stephen A. is going against everybody.
You got new smoke every day.
So it's new smoke every day. And
what
that's
did the
what
research say about that?
They loved it.
Yeah?
Well, we had
Consistent?
record ratings. We had record ratings for the last 3 years.
But y'all didn't lose the rating with Max, though. You said that.
We were
stayed number 1.
We were number 1. But the audience was telling us we were stale together. So I was saying a choice has to be made. So when you hear people talking, they talking like Stephen A. just opened his mouth and said, yo, man, I don't want to be here. Yo, man, this is what I want. You don't know me. I go by what the audience tells us, meaning that audience is going to have different opinions. Audience is going to give opinions that we disagree with. But if Dre is calling a bout, and you know this because you've been on television with me before. If they sitting up there, man, that brother got knowledge, but he sound a little monotone. We need a little more energy. Well, I'm gonna say to you, yo, bro, you need a little more energy. You know what I'm saying?
Bring it up.
I mean, they gonna sit up there and they're gonna like, all right, Shaq, yeah, you mumbling, but you know what the hell you talk about. You're a 4-time champion.
How you doing, Shaq? Why Shaq catch it straight, man?
No straight. That's my dog. He knows that. Charles Barkley, you funny as hell.
Yeah.
But Kenny got to talk and know what he's saying.
Right.
Because the comedic approach they're getting from Barkley.
Right.
They're getting a combination of that and the basketball stuff from him and Shaq.
And then Kenny trying to stay out the way.
They looking at Kenny, you working alongside Ernie, there's a different expectation.
Yeah.
You don't have the same expectation if you Kendrick Perkins that you have if you Brian Winters. Brian Winters is a different expectation than Shams Charania. They're different than Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark's different than Cam Newton. Cam Newton is different than Shannon or Michael Irvin. There's expectations. And so you have to pay attention to that even if you don't agree with it. Even if you're not going to do it, you have to be mindful and cognizant of what it is. So I'm looking at people and saying, rather than being ignorant and trying to find some different headline that create clicks that have no truth to it, why don't you remind people of what the industry entails and what leads to decisions being made? I've been number 1 for 13 straight years. Knock on wood. It could all end tomorrow. I get that.
Yeah.
But you can't take away from me that I've been number 1 for 13 years. Well, why have I? Because I wake up and just run my mouth? Mm-hmm. You don't think I pay attention to what the hell the audience wants, what they're saying? You know, I got a podcast now, it's the Stephen A. Smith Show. It's a YouTube show, it's a podcast, the whole bit. Cats talking about a whole bunch of stuff. I'm talking politics. I got presidential candidates talking to me, representatives and Senate figures and governors and everybody else. I'm addressing real stuff going on. Why? Because I have a passion for it. And it deviates from what you normally see me. How could Stephen A. do this? How the hell does he know this is gonna pull up? Because I paid attention. And I said, this was a voice that was missing. Here's what they're looking for. This is how you go about doing it. And that's the kind of stuff that I do. So I could tell you, you could call a boxing man. I tell you right now. I said, I'll tell you, yo, Dre, you doing the fight? You doing the fight? You gonna be working Netflix? You gonna be doing Canelo Crawford? You gonna do that fight? And I'm in the back of my mind, I ain't got nothing to say publicly, but I got an idea who you should be working with, who would work and who wouldn't, why it would work, why it might not. I have this. Why? Because I've been in the business for 30 years.
But that's one of the biggest things you said you learned from the first contract with ESPN, the second contract.
Yes.
First contract, you looking at hand claps and oohs and ahs. Then you learn that it's about these numbers, these hard numbers.
Right.
That's what the executives, that's what the suits, that's what the people that's paying, that's what they looking at. I like you, but your numbers ain't right.
Exactly.
That was one of the biggest takeaways.
And then you have an audience out there that's paying attention to broke ass dudes. You understand what I'm saying? That ain't got going on, that still can't get a job in the industry, but you're gonna ignore the dude that just got the contracts, not one, couple, okay? That's still at the top of my game. So I'm like, where you gonna listen? You know what I'm saying? If I came to you and I said to you, let me talk to you about basketball, but Michael Jordan rolled up and said, let me talk to you about basketball.
Different story.
Listen to
You got my ear in a different way.
You understand what I'm saying? I mean, exactly. So I'm like, it's like you just sit there and you're looking, not comparing myself to Michael Jordan or anything like that. Yeah. I'm certainly not doing that. I'm just simply saying, it's like, pay attention. It's like I'm trying to show it to you, because when you get my age, is no matter how healthy I am, how good I'm feeling, whatever, I am 57. You know, at some point in time, it's like, what do I want to be remembered for? I'd like to be remembered as a cat that helped a whole bunch of cats get in this business and thrive in this business and make it happen. I don't have to do as many interviews as I do. You've seen me all over the place throughout the years talking to people. There's plenty of cats that have been in this business for years, and you don't see them being interviewed. You don't see me backing up for interviews. Why? They did it for me. Why can't I do that? I want you to succeed. I want Matt Barnes to succeed. I want a whole Gill and all of these guys. I want them to get theirs. I want to be that guy that I want y'all to remember when it's time, when it's my time. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 15 years, but it's gonna end. And I want people to be able to look at me and say, yo, man, he tried to help brothers. He tried to help sisters. He tried to make stuff happen for other people. That's what I want to do.
Man, I've been seeing you do it on ESPN, just all the names that you named. I know that's intentional. And they speak about it. You don't always speak about it, but they speak about it. And I know the help that you've given me, whether it's a phone call, whether it's advice, whether it's contractual stuff. And but just even something like this, man, and that's why I mentioned this at the top of the show. I don't take that light, because I'm a busy man, I'm a public figure, and I know I can't be everywhere. I can't do everything I want to do for people. But to be able to send you a text and for you to get back to me the way you did, I know it take time, that's life, we busy. But for you to say, bro, you got 2 hours and we can talk about whatever, that stuff means something to me. Because I know, yeah, we want to talk and we got a good rapport, but you also know what this is going to do for us. Yeah. So we appreciate that, man. I got a couple more quick ones and then we got to get out of here. You know, you've overcame a lot of adversity in your life. What's one personal failure that has reshaped how you approach your life? Something you fail at, but now that has changed my trajectory and how I move now.
I would have to say me getting let go by ESPN. I thought I was
before then.
I really did.
Yeah,
I really did. I really did. And it was for all the wrong reasons. It was for the applause. It was for the recognition. It was for things that I normally don't care about. But I was seeing the money, and I was saying this is going to lead to me getting paid. Because I don't really care about popularity. I care about being recognized for it to benefit off it financially. You understand? I don't want the applause without the money. A matter of fact, I'll take the money without the applause. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not that guy. But I thought at the time, because of how hard I worked and how recognizable I had become, that was going to materialize into a financial benefit for it that would have exceeded my wildest dreams. And it turned out to be the opposite, because when they came to me with what they thought I was worth, I had a thought process that I was worth more, but I had no evidence to validate it. I didn't have focus group. I didn't have data and analytics. I didn't have any of that information that I had. When I came back in 2011, when I got put on First Take in 2012, when I negotiated my contract in 2015, that was an entirely different Stephen A. than what they had seen 6 years earlier. Because it was like, this is what the focus group says, this is what the analytics say, this is what the data shows, this is what I'm worth.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
We don't have to argue about it.
And it was beautiful because it touched me in a certain way. As a black man, when things don't go your way, you tend to adopt a victim's mentality. And I'm not saying you're wrong about it, because a lot of times we are victims and we have been victimized. But it's one thing to be that, and it's another thing to think it. You can be it and accept it as reality and march forward. I'm just going to adapt and overcome, which is what my mother preached. Or you can wallow in it and use it as an excuse to prevent you from ascending. The latter was me back in that time. I was thinking, man, this is BS. I deserve this, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't look at myself. And when I learned my value by studying the business the way that I was supposed to, whatever resistance they gave to me, none of those thoughts entered my head. It was business. Our goal is to get the greatest amount of talent for the cheapest price imaginable. You have to make a case for yourself to prevent us from doing otherwise. That's your job. If you don't do it, we gonna get away with it. And then, not only did I learn that mentality, Dre, shortly thereafter, a few years later, I became a business owner. And what am I trying to do? What do I got a problem with? I got a problem with every time I turn around, somebody coming to me for a raise. And they might deserve it. Damn it, I don't want to give it. You know what I'm saying? Now I want to pay them. I want to compensate you. I want you to be all right. But every dollar I give you is a dollar coming out of my pocket.
That's right.
So it's like,
it hit different now.
I'm like, this is 150,000.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get them for 1.4.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how that works.
You know what I'm saying? You start thinking like
It's
that.
different
Like,
now.
and then all of a sudden you looking at your bosses and it's like,
Yes.
I got it.
Yeah.
And my edifying myself about business and about my business made me a better man as well as a better professional, because I learned to depersonalize and understand this is how the game is played no matter who you're dealing with. And you got to accept that.
Do you like being famous? Do you like what comes with it? Having to overly think about your daughters and the safety?
No, I don't like that part.
You can't just go anywhere and do anything?
Oh, I hate that part. You know, there's several things. Number one, I'm not going to lie and tell you being famous doesn't have its perks. Being successful monetarily, professionally, etc., does not have its perks, because it does. You know, it's nice to go, it's nice to walk into a mall and know that you could buy whatever you want in that mall.
That's right.
It's nice to see dealerships you driving by and know that if you wanted to, you could pull right over. I could get that.
I get that.
You know, it's nice to roll up in a spot like a Tom Ford or a Brioni or something with $5,000 suits and it's like, no problem, I can get that. It is nice. It's a beautiful feeling. You know, you go out to dinner, you ain't got to worry about paying the check. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. The popularity stuff, obviously as a dad, as an uncle, as a brother, that can get on you, that can rake your nerves because people know those you love, which makes them targets at times. That's problematic. One of this little pet peeve, and my girl's gonna kill me for saying this, but it's just the truth. You know, when you have a woman, it's not like you don't know other women. I'm just talking about friendship. I'm not talking about anything.
Right.
I'm not talking about anything. You got a wife. It's not like you don't know other women.
Right.
Right? So you go out and you could be out, it could be a friend of your wife's. And somebody clicking, and you find yourself, and like, you know you cool, Because the wife or the honey knows that you were out. You told him, look, babe, I'm going out with this person. I'm going to dinner. I'll be there. I'll be back. Here. So it's fine at home, right? But the people don't know that, and they're taking these pictures of you. And I'm particular about this with men. It never crossed your mind that you might not need to take that picture. They don't even think about it. They don't even care. All your man code 101 go right out the window.
Out the window.
Out the window. You just looking at them like, damn. You ain't worth a damn. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know. It's no problem. But you didn't know it was no problem. You thought you was gonna cause me a problem.
Yes.
That's like the equivalent of trying to dime the brother out.
Yeah.
They don't realize, and that's a pet peeve. See, I don't mind that with women. The women you take, I don't have no problem. But when you the dude, and not only that, it could be a bar, it could be a lounge, it could be a club. You got brothers that will walk away from their girl to roll up on you taking pictures. It's like this. Have you no shame?
Have you no shame?
You forgot what it is to be a man. You don't do that. You don't do that. And then with the ladies out there, let me tell something to the ladies too, because I'm very particular, because I've done this, Dre. When a woman is with her man, nothing disgusts me more than when she rolls up on me to put her arm around me, touch me, to take a picture with me or something like that, and then say nothing to her man. I'll stop and hold it.
Yeah.
You good with this, bro?
Yeah, I like that.
Just to show him respect. Like, you don't do that. Oh, please, he's fine. No, he's not. He might say something because he might want something later. But the bottom line is he's not fine because you're being disrespectful. That's a man you with. You don't do that. So it's on both sides of the fence. It's little pet peeves that I have with the full fame and popularity.
But you willing to live with that?
Stuff that. Say what?
You willing to live with that with the
because
person
of the check.
Yeah.
I'm not apologizing for that. I'm a capitalist, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a capitalist.
You gonna deal with all that other stuff? Just make sure
I will deal with all of that to make sure I get paid.
I got you.
I mean, as long as the checks come on. Now, if I'm broke, I don't want you to know me.
Yeah.
You understand? I don't want you to know me. But if I got a little paper, well, if that's the reason, because of fame, popularity, and stuff like that, and that breeds good finances, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to stomach.
Tell me about this. Couple more. You got a love for boxing.
Yes. Love boxing.
Who gonna win the fight, man? That's coming up, the biggest
Crawford.
fight in boxing.
Crawford.
Huh?
Crawford. I'm not hesitating. Crawford. I'm not even hesitating. Crawford.
You gonna stand on that all the way to September 13th?
I love Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo. Crawford will beat Canelo by decision. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo Alvarez. But I do believe that if you can box and you can move, that you can beat Canelo. You can outpoint him.
That's right.
And when I think about Canelo, one of the things that I don't like about Canelo, despite his greatness, and a neck as wide as Broadway, for crying out loud.
Right.
The thing that I don't like about Canelo is that it's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yes.
And that's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble, and I'm not sure it was him, but I think it was him. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's going to go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight, and Crawford is not. And Canelo is a genius in this regard. You don't see him show up for fights not ready. He's always ready.
Always prepared.
He's always ready. He's always
that.
prepared. So I think he's the slower fighter, though. And I think that Crawford is brilliant as a boxer. And I think that between switching to conventional and southpaw, using his jab and movement, I think that Crawford is going to outpoint Canelo because he's faster. But I don't think he's going to knock him out.
Yeah. We're going to leave it there, my brother. Man, I appreciate you.
Definitely.
More than you know, man. Thank you.
Same here, man.
Appreciate you.
Proud of you, bro.
Yes, sir.